Hey guys, how you doing? I'm here with LC. He just won his match against M80, and the first question, of course, that I want to ask him is how is he feeling? Então, como que vocês estão se sentindo depois de ganhar da M80?
Boa tarde, a gente está se sentindo muito feliz. Todo o trabalho que a gente se dedicou nos últimos tempos, a gente conseguiu colocar em prática hoje. A gente executou 100% da 2-game que a gente apresentava nos treinos.
We're really happy. It was a lot of work that we put in this match. Yeah, and today we could demonstrate everything that we were working on. The second question that I want to ask him is that if he can talk about the preparation for this match. Então, como que vocês se prepararam para esse match?
A gente não está conseguindo achar screens para cá, então a gente se preparou somente vendo as VODs deles e estudando o jogo deles. A gente fez um antitático muito bom e foi isso.
We didn't have screens here to train, so yeah, basically we just watched VODs and just like better our game too. And yeah. The last question that I want to ask him is how is it playing for the first time with here the people that are here in Ascension? Então, como que foi jogar frente a toda essa galera torcendo para vocês?
Cara, é muito bom, muito mais emocionante, é muito legal ver você fazendo um round e a torcida comemorando e é isso, é muito legal.
It was really good, yeah, like we made one round that was incredible and yeah, everyone were just shouting and yeah, it's really good. Muito obrigada, thank you very much.
Gracias.
Stay here because we have one more match, thank you.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
face.
Creo que mi rendimiento por ahora está siendo más bajo de lo que vengo acostumbrado. Creo que aún puedo mejorar mucho. Y lo que puedo mejorar es, creo que más confianza más que nada. Voy a tratar de llegar a los playoffs con más confianza que nunca. Creo que esos momentos son los que nuestro equipo más se emociona, donde más saltan a brillar nuestro hype, por así decirlo. Los gritos, la emoción. Y creo que eso nos ayuda también a jugar mejor. Nosotros vamos a jugar como siempre, ya le ganamos, pero ellos ahora están más fuertes que antes, sentimos que mejoraron mucho, así que nosotros también tenemos que mejorar en estos días que quedan para jugar para ganarles nuevamente. Que se preparen porque vamos a jugar mejor que nuestra última partida.
A equipe veio muito preparada para a gente precisar ter mais resiliência, porque a nossa preparação não foi muito boa, a gente não conseguiu ter um bootcamp devido aos problemas para tirar visto para entrar no México. Então a gente sabia que muitos jogos eles iam ser decididos na força de vontade. Então a gente estava jogando jogos muito parelhos, indo para overtime. Então isso também era um bom sinal para a gente que a gente estava ali quase no caminho já de ganhar. Então eu acho que isso foi um diferencial, a gente jogar jogos muito parelhos, que por mais que a gente perdesse, ficasse triste na hora ali, no dia seguinte ele era um indicativo que a gente estava bem para poder ganhar os próximos jogos. Bom, falar deles é um pouco difícil porque eles foram o nosso maior parceiro de treino no Brasil. Então, ao mesmo tempo que a gente sabe que vai ser um jogo difícil, eu fico muito feliz de ver que o nosso maior parceiro de treino, que é de uma outra região, mas treina com a gente, que se classificou. Porque isso mostra que o nosso nível de região também ele é um nível muito forte. E eu acho que o primeiro jogo que a gente jogou contra eles, a partida estava na mão, e o segundo mapa, a parte mental da equipe tinha esses void. Então, o primeiro ponto para poder ganhar deles tem que estar com o mental muito forte, porque eles são um time que eles jogam um jogo muito agressivo. E a gente já treinou muito contra isso e entende como jogar contra eles. Eu acho que o trabalho dele é excelente. Ele tem uma equipe com características um pouco diferentes da minha, que é uma equipe mais agressiva. Eu sinto que eles trabalham bem o round, mas trabalham menos do que a gente. E eu acho que ele sabe aceitar isso, esse quesito agressivo. E eles têm muitas plays, então eles têm um time que eles têm um repertório de jogadas rápidas muito fortes. E isso às vezes assusta, porque você às vezes está jogando um round, você está meio paradão, marcando, e de repente o round vira um caos. E você precisa saber jogar contra esse tipo de estilo, é muito peculiar.
Welcome back, everyone, to VCT Ascension Americas, with already a big upset to be kicking off the day and the playoffs. Though if you weren't paying attention to the group stage, we knew we were up for a little bit of shenanigans once we got here. These teams, they are fighting fierce, and I cannot wait to get started with the next series of the day. With that last loss, M80 have been knocked down to the lower bracket, and it's now time to see who is going to be joining there, Jen, between All Knights and GLRS.
Ooh, this is going to be a good match. These two faced off already in the group stage. All Knights taking the 2-0, so a lot of rematches. But we already had one upset today, and I think this was the match that divided a lot of the analysts on where to predict. I think 3 of us went AK, 2 of us went GLRS, but it's going to be competitive. Who knows who's going to win?
It'll be a good one for sure, especially, too, when we're looking back at how we expected group stage to be going. This was a match that I think already had people a little divided, if not more so thinking that they were going to be a little bit more GLRS favored. But All Knights coming into this, well, they definitely had something to prove. This team hit the road, and they hit the road hard. And already here, Gompers, when we're talking about the team, there is a couple of individuals that already have made such a lasting impression here when we look back at their performances throughout groups.
Yeah, for me, when I look at certain individuals, I'm thinking Dante, right? I'm thinking Adverso. I know we've seen a couple of really good plays moving from group stage, and Dante in particular is a duelist that you would want, that you dream of, right? You wake up, Dante's in trials, and you're like, I want that guy, because he is probably the least afraid duelist I've ever seen in my life. And the situation with that is that Dante, I mean, there are occasions where, yeah, they go in, they go kill, and they end up dying. But they get 2, they get 3, and then all of a sudden, sights open, everyone's like, what the heck just happened? Where's my team? And Dante's like, okay, whatever, I'm going 27 and 20, but we just 13-0'd you.
Yeah, Dante is an absolute unit, absolute weapon, as Psycho called him last week on the desk. And he's a really key part to this roster. And then you can't also discount what Adverso does as the IGL. And it's all about trading. And they played, actually, All Knights played very close to M80 and impressed a lot of us despite losing. All Knights is a team that can go toe-to-toe with everyone. And with Dante at the helm, like Gomper said, full commit, fast lane, run in, kill.
And I mean, with such a flashy duelist, it's easy for a lot of other people to kind of go a little unnoticed, but Adverso has had such an impact in the server as well. I feel like there's been multiple games where at the end of it, I see the like how many kills each player's had gotten, and I see where Dante is, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's impressive. And then I see Adverso, and I'm like, wait, what? Wait a second. Like, this guy has been showing up huge, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, to be number 2 in KDA says a lot, and to be also an IGL for this team, his mid-rounding is also so intelligent. It's not even just like the fragging, it's how he maneuvers the map and gives himself an advantage in these duels just based on information and what they do as time goes by. So really excited for All Knights. They won 2-0 against GLRS last time, and there's a lot of threats on this team, and we can name them all, but Adverso, watch out for him.
Yeah, when you're naming threats, just literally list everybody from the team. It's pretty accurate, especially, too, when we were looking at the group stage. These two played a little earlier on, and that's when, too, you'd look at a matchup and be like, okay, well, All Knights was the number 2 seed coming on in, and they're going up against GLRS, the number 1 seed coming up from Brazil. They're the underdog here, surely, right? And GLRS definitely got to show a lot throughout their season that they were a top team. They could come out here and compete. But when we've been looking back at this stage of things here, Jen, it's been a little bit more difficult, I think, for them to find their footing. But we've been able to really see some players pop off. And I know that regardless of how it went last time, we could have a totally different result now.
Yeah, GLRS is a team that can be severely underestimated. Like, they barely made playoffs in their region, like in 8th place through the regular season. Then they go on to win playoffs and cash in their ticket to Ascension. They're a team that can punch very high. They gave 2G, who's in their league, they gave 2G one of their first losses, and 2G was number 1, GLRS was number 8. And for everyone on this roster, almost everyone on this roster, GLRS is their first team. And Evil Kick is the one who has the most amount of years of experience at around 4, and he's not even in the IG. But there's a lot of maturity on this team, like Evil Kick pushing almost 30. Sato puts up the numbers. This is a team that doesn't get angry easily. They don't care if people underestimate them, but they show up. And Sato, his impact in these matches is what we have to watch out for. It's not about KDA, it's impact. Number 1 in ACS, number 1 in ulti kills. He provides for his team.
I agree. Sato is
again, like when you're talking ideal duelists, you go back to Dante. I actually think they both have very, very similar playstyles. Like Sato and Dante are both probably one of the most unafraid duelists that you see come through within, honestly, the Ascension scene overall. And I've seen occasions where Sato's literally running up mid, and that's the idea. Everyone in GLRS is like, hey, all right, here you go. Here's a flash. Go kill. Do whatever you want. And then I literally saw him get 2 and just run it down with high gear. And so you're just sitting there like, this is absolutely impossible. But they do it anyway.
I love the duelist go kill type mentality. It's just so much fun to be watching. But someone else we need to be talking about on the side of GLRS here is Luke Show. Because coming out here, again with the, hey, sometimes you get a little, stifled out, a little ignored by the flashy go kill duelist. But what Lucio has been able to do out here on the server has also been great. It's always good for 2. Just such a backbone of the team.
Yeah, I think Luke really shines on Sunset as their sentinel. He's a player that knows how to play his role. He's not flashy, he's not inconsistent. He just performs solo on the site and makes things difficult for the other team. Now, Omen, I find him to also be a great brawler. He excels especially on offense. And if they can really start off on their side on offense, that would be huge. He propels his team with really good team play and consideration in the mid rounds when it comes to these smokes on Omen. And he also puts up great damage, so watch out for Luke can do. Not going to be the flashiest, not in the spotlight, but he's selfless.
And I think that's a really understated part of the team too. It's so fun to get caught up in the fun duelist, but being able to support the team, be that selfless player, and I mean, you're talking about selfless player, but still what he's been able to do out here has just been incredible. So still, he's been able to be that selfless person, but still being able to come out on top. And when I look at GLRS and type that sort of play style throughout, even if the last series Gompers didn't necessarily go their way, there's been a couple more group stage matches since then. People can be a little bit more warmed up to everything. So even if it was a harsh loss last time, they were still the #1 seed coming into this for a reason. And I think they've gotten to show that throughout the rest of the group stages, even if the results aren't necessarily the most reflective of that.
Yeah, I mean, a 2-0 from All Knights last time, but again, it was in the grouping stage. I feel like when you're versing, a new opponent, sometimes it takes time to get accustomed, and honestly, like, you read into it pretty quickly. I think they did great, right? 15-13 going on Sunset, 13-7 going on Haven for All Knights, winning that out, and, we actually just saw it in the last series, reversal just going through, and against M80, so it's like anything could realistically happen. Okay, the scores are looking very different the last time. It was super close game, but you still have a really good team. You still have really good players. And also, it's a new day, and some people might just be feeling it.
I think GLRS really need to control the pace and the tempo of these matches, because we just talked about how Dante runs in with the Neon, gets really, really fast with it, and makes his team aggressive. And if GLRS can learn how to control that, they didn't do as good of a job of that last time, but that'll be a key for GLRS in this match.
100%. And heading into the map select for today's series, I love that we've gotten to see all of these teams in the groups and kind of have a little inkling of how things can go down. So reminder, 2-0 for All Knights last time around, and they're going to be picking Haven. Funny enough, this was Galoria's map pick last time. They're running it since, and neither has had the most of success since with it, Jen.
Yeah, this was a weird pick, the Haven for All Knights. They're 1-3 on Ascension on this, but this was their most picked map in playoffs back in LATAM. And they felt very strongly about this ever since they moved Sabando from Astra to Omen. They took TSM to overtime. They won this against GLRS last time. So I think despite kind of the iffy record for All Knights, they've made the changes that they feel confident enough to take this map again.
Right, next up, GLRS, they'll be taking us to Bind, ending off on Abyss here, Gompers. How are we feeling about the map pool in general, especially too since they've gotten a lot of extra time under their belts and a little bit of tape?
The only change here is realistically Bind from what they kind of did last time. They didn't get to go to that Abyss pick. For some reason, everybody here really messes with Abyss. I don't know like what they're cooking, but that's what I'm excited to go to if we do, because Haven right there for the AK pick. I mean, it makes sense, right? You win on a map against Haven. Obviously, Lotus gets banned out, Sunset gets banned out, so there really is no hope there. I feel like they're kind of just going back to what's the first map that we can evidently beat this team on that we have before, and what's a map that we know their playstyle in, so that we can kind of just, okay, let's bother view, let's see what's going on here, let's put that into our game, and let's just solidify this first win. And I think this is a great strategic pick on the side of AK.
Yeah, and GLRS going to Vine, they had kind of a unique approach to this by going to the Fade over other maybe more popular initiators like your Sova or your Breach. So it's very, their style is around that. It's a very solid map that they've beaten like most teams on. So I think GLRS should be very happy to force that deciding map. Yes, they lost the TSM, but they really can stretch out these rounds. And Icebox is technically GLRS' best map, but it got banned out first, right out the gates from All Night. So we'll see how GLRS does on Vine, which is their second best.
See, I'm still expecting more coming out from GLRS, but when I look at Bind, I see something that All Knights isn't necessarily the worst against. We saw the 2G that just took down M80. Well, 2G took down All Knights over on Bind, so it'll be interesting with this entire series. But it's time for walkouts and to get to hear from the stadium itself and the announcers.
Sus hazañas hacen vibrar a toda una nación. Quiero ese ruido para los nuestros. Quiero apoyo para All Night.
All Knights coming into this number 2 seed from Latin America. And I feel like how they've showed up in the server, as said elsewise. I mean, Dante, the most explosive duelist we have out here. Jen, this team, all about this firepower. They're flashy. There's a lot to be done here.
Yeah. This is going to be such a fun matchup because Dante and Sato, they went toe-to-toe on Neon on Sunset the last time they matched up. Very, very close. Dante can convert more first kills, and he's such a headstrong, head-first type of player. Sato can go pretty even with the kills, but we'll see how this will fare in this next matchup.
Campeões do Challengers Brasil, faz barulho pra GLRS!
The number 1 seed from Brazil, GLRS. I feel like we didn't get to see what they've shown throughout their season. This is a team with so much potential. Gomps, they made it through the group stage. Now, can they show up when it matters most to try and take down the one who took them down before?
Team that had a rough start to the group stage in the beginning made it all the way here to playoffs, and they are in fact looking to play it off very, very smoothly. Listen, Americas, they can taste it, but they can also taste the rematch here against All Knights, and I think it's going to be brilliant.
I'm excited to get into the maps too, because they look, GLRS looks so locked in. They're a team that don't show a lot of emotion, like even from the tweets from their losses is we let it slip. Like we showed this on broadcast last time, because there's a lot of maturity on this team in terms of age. They're not a team that get angry. They're just going to stick to their game plan. And they didn't get their most favorite map of Icebox, but they got their second best, which is Bind. So I think they stick to what they know.
That's honestly another thing too, like what you just said, right? They never get mad. We've seen tweets of this team being so wholesome and like, hey, you know, we will recover. We will be better. And I think that in general is honestly the reason why they might be able to flourish here.
Going into this, make sure to get your votes in as well. Who's going to be taking it? Maybe a little jinx considering how we saw that go down last time. But going into this, I love that a lot of these expectations have been flipped. But with so much recent stuff on the teams, I don't know about the agents as we head into our Blacklight agent select. If anyone's brave enough to try and switch it up going into this first map, Jen, with this agent select, I'm expecting some standard stuff, and that's going to include a Dante Neon.
Yeah, and against the Sato Jet, I was really wondering if Sato was going to match the Neon here. Sato is more flexible where he can sport the Jet, but Dante, you're going to see him run Neon as much as he can everywhere he can, because that just suits his playstyle. Gets to run and kill, and Sato will try to just kind of use that mobility to work around him instead of maybe just fight fire with fire.
Honestly, I don't think there's anybody else you'd want on the Neon in general. Like, I don't think there's anything you'd want Dante to play other than the Neon. This player is such a fast-paced player. They're extremely into just running it down. Honestly, Neon was made for Dante. Prove me wrong.
I mean, 100%. Last time, it was a Dante that ran all over GLRS, but can GLRS take the pep out of his step and take the first map of this series? Let's find out. Head back over to our casters, Shift and Uber.
Thank you, folks. Yeah, this one we've been looking forward to. The last time All Knights and GLRS played, we didn't perhaps feel like we saw the true potential of GLRS. But on the All Knights side, on Haven especially, Dante Deus is 10-0. First kill, first death against GLRS in that matchup. And even on Sunset, he was 9-3. So 10-0 on Haven, pretty disgusting. This team also typically shift very active and aggressive on defense. It didn't work all that well against GLRS at the start of the half, but they did lose that pistol. Eventually, they just overran them.
Yeah, that was essentially a pistol followed up by just 2 gun round losses. I think some of that was because of ultimates that were charged. And then once that was done, they had 1 retake, and then they just out-fragged from there on out. But 10 of their 13 came in a row on offense for All Knights. Again, talking about the identity that this All Knights team plays at, it's fast, it's furious, it's always in your freaking face. So GLRS need to find a way to respond to that. It definitely felt like it caught them by surprise. They have had a chance to not just face that versus All Knights, but they also had a chance to face that versus 2 game. So they're definitely, I think, a little bit more conditioned to knowing what speed they're going to have to play at. And I imagine the prep will also be right there with them. The only question will be, can there be a response to Dante in particular on this Neon? Because like we saw in the last series with Spike, sometimes he's just different and just takes over.
And again, if we see AK get a pistol round here on this defense side, which is normally quite hard to play, you are going to see them try and disrupt GLRS really early in the round. Go for these aggressive pops, especially looking to control that A side of the map. We're underway here, folks, in our second upper semi-final. All Knights, number 2 from Latin versus GLRS, your number 1 from Brazil. We're on board with Tinchop here as the hit comes from GLRS onto the C side.
Yeah, Tinchop just going to hold his angle as best as he possibly can. He's got help on the way. Paranoia is going to blind him for a moment, but the crossfire setup is here. It's going to go for 2 for 1.
Spike down.
Not bad. Tinchop's still alive. This time not taking it, but he runs out of bullets. That gives Ziranga with second kill, but Savanda was pretty clean with a great transfer of aim. And now Adverso, such a smart player, a veteran, brought down to 6 HP by Rude. But a jawline to break Everfrost. Nicely done. GLRS take the pistol.
That was a hell of a flick. Bang! I mean, what are we talking about? Sabando nearly saves the round because the initial exchange looked decent for All Knights. Only issue was GLRS got deep on towards site. They were able to hold over the top of the spike site itself, and that was enough to at least catch a corner, catch a little bit of extra damage. But for a moment, on that reprise, that little bit of a retake attempt, Sabando nearly had done it himself after, again, the damage that was done in the corner by Tinchop was solid. Just could not quite finish because of the lack of ammunition. But not enough. So an impressive opening pistol for both sides. Advantage to GLRS, who now have 3 Bulldogs with a couple of other upgrades around it, where All Knights will have to default to just classics.
Again, there was a little pop there over towards the A side of the map. It was an early fault line, though, from GLRS. And Sato was waiting for it. This is how teams started to read into All Knights. He's really spent the first 40 seconds of this round waiting for some kind of push-up. That is going to be a really relevant approach once All Knights get some weapons in their hands and they're ready to go on the offense on this defense side of the map.
Well, good discipline here for GLRS, is not one to be surprised by anything lurking up through mid. A lot of respect as well that, you know, you may have something like a shorty purchase or something that could be holding over towards B. So smoke will go down towards the window. Owl drone to clear. Fault line to follow. Tinchop actually avoids a lot of that, but Nico Machine is not able to stay alive. Now is the dash. They know they've got Tinchop somewhere in a corner. Just comes down to where, and that may be a little bit more difficult than initially promised as 2 kills come through, and now it's just down to Dante for the 1v3.
Dante looking for one more gun for his troubles in this round, but that is going to be difficult. 3 up still for GLRS, 2 Bulldogs in the mix. A lot of the action this round going down in Garage. Dante caught. Luke Show, the quality of player that can stop Dante in his tracks.
Yeah, and a really good follow-up there just to make sure that, okay, oh yeah, it got a little messy. Tinchop does what he can inside the corner, but the overall take of the site, plus the stretch out through mid, works out nicely to make sure that the defense can't concentrate their focus in any particular spot. That's obviously pretty evident just by the fact we're playing Haven. You're not going to see very many gamble stacks due to the fact that we have 3 sites, but really good just awareness overall to not get caught by surprise on the opening attack. You do get the Bulldog recovered by Rude, so this bonus will still feel like a pretty true bonus. In fact, they will actually upgrade it into a Vandal Sheriff combination. Early pressure, though, with the Fault Line and Dante combination through Sewer will give All Knights some control with weapons over towards A.
But again, GLRS give them nothing. Look at how little of a map they opted to take early in the round. This will force All Knights to make these aggressive pops happen a little later and might force them to commit some utility to get a read on where GLRS are set up. Aldron gets you into the garage here. Sato does know this is going to be a tripwire. He's going to push this quickly. Nico Machine gets pinned out by it. He's trying to do the dance. He couldn't get back around the corner, apparently. Sato takes him down, and elsewhere, Adverso falls. B side open for GLRS to move in.
And this is tough decision-making for Dante because you want to wait for the flank for Tinshot, but you don't have the time to. And whoa, this is a lot of clearance for him, but a key 1v1 goes the way of Sato, and then Dante just gets pinched up. Too many players to deal with. Tinshot not going to see much more action in the remaining in this round. He's just going to try to hold the Vandal.
It was an interesting timing, to be fair, that Dante tried to take into B. Almost got the drop on them, but GLRS had it covered entirely. Tinshot has no hope of holding this weapon through the round, folks. Make no mistake. A Blacklight flawless here in our third for GLRS.
And that's the bonus round win, too, by the way. GLRS is now off to the races. Financially, they are comfortable. They have put good pressure on the map, both through mid as well as through C long. The double hits that we've seen largely kind of framed up by what they find at Garage has been very successful. And I think the more important part about that most recent round was the fact that now you've all of a sudden gotten Sato, who said, I'm going to push through window and shell you. So if you're going to defend through mid window at Garage, you better do so with some support, because sitting inside of a dark cover deep is not going to be enough, especially if they are committing Aldrones to follow up through that window play. So really good convincing measures in terms of how you dominate the map early, just in unconventional ways. We don't often see that be the case. I think especially with a Sova Jet combo, you often see some sort of a recon dart be thrown into dash afterwards, especially towards C. You also have the ability to kind of more freely find space over towards A long. But the thing they're dealing with is this Neon. And so far it looks like GLRS have done a really nice job of evaluating what they want to do with the Neon and how we could possibly counter that. And that's by playing through mid.
Yeah, so far so simple. You're right. I mean, AK are really giving up that part of the map entirely in favor of trying to go for some early action, which GLRS aren't giving them. And then by the time they maybe make their way back to B, if at all, it's usually in a retake, or it's just Adverso who, you know, quick rotates off A to try and get there. That is a feature of this map, not a bug. Haven is going to stretch you very thin. That's why defenders want to go for these aggressive plays, because it's twofold. It can give you that player advantage, shut down the enemy push, and also give you some information. Even if you don't find any kills off maybe a fault line play or a Neon pushing up, you at least can narrow things down a little bit early on in the round. So that's something that AK had to be aware of, because right now they just don't really know when the action's going to come. Its timing's being taken by GLRS that they should be used to, because Reta tried to do this to them extensively in the LATAM playoffs, and a lot of teams are reading into AK now as well. They say we need to slow it down. We need to be ready for them to push up. There's a risk associated with that, because
absolutely
they give up map control, and they do need to re-clear that or clear it at all before getting in. So you may notice that it becomes a bit util intensive for GLRS to play this way, especially on short time, as they only start pushing it like what, a minute 20 in the round.
Yeah, because the only other option that, you have, if just flipping the conversation to the perspective of All Knights, the only other thing you can really do is try to catch them off guard by playing aggressive with the Neon early. And so GLRS is saying, we're not going to give you the opportunity to do that, because we're going to show aggression of our own. And it's going to be in spots that we expect the Neon to not be. So it puts a lot of pressure onto your Sentinels in particular. I think the Cypher has been overwhelmed. Tinshot has done well, to be fair, to kind of at least go 1-for-1, if not maybe even better than that. But him by himself as an anchor is not enough to hold off against 5 flooding members for GLRS, where the Neon needs support. You can't just play off of your own stuff, especially on the defensive side. So you're going to see combinations with a fault line fast lane, or something that comes out of the bow of Averso. You don't get that same kind of support for Tinshot. And it looks like for GLRS, that's the whole game plan. Make sure we're avoiding the stack up where we expect the Neon to be, put pressure elsewhere, and already, again, build up early financial benefits to where you can stretch the map on rounds where you have the advantage.
Aldrone for both sides here. There was even a recon invested by AK into sewers, because they opted not to take up that position. And they get ahead of the retake. They're trying to get into the site now. AK want to anchor this hard. Aftershock going to come in. Adverso tries to swing the angle, but Luke Shaw was there on the approach. Savano inside dark cover, but will emerge from sewers. It's an angle that they weren't ready for. All too easy.
Yeah.
Down to Tinshot with just a stinger.
I mean, not an option there for All Knights, right? Like, you gamble correctly in terms of where the hit's going to come from. You don't want to retake with pistols and stingers, so you try to hold your ground best you possibly can. But, I mean, like you mentioned, just the clean, convincing compartmentalization of the site from GLRS just leads to easy gunfights with weapon advantage, only dropping one in the process. The other thing that, the desk had mentioned, the power that Sato has. We've seen Luke Show also show up. It felt like, early on in the group stage, the only reason that GLRS was winning was because those guys were popping off. But as the group stage has gone on, and now we see them sitting as a major threat here in the playoff portion of this Ascension tournament, the whole team is clicking. So it feels like everyone is settled into the LAN environment, getting together, making sure that we're on the same page, not just relying on individuals. Now you're starting to see the complete GLRS team that we expected to have after their performance in the regional.
So far, this has been solid fundamentals. Nothing too flashy from GLRS, but they know they can make a hard hit over towards that A site. And it's probably, especially if they can hide information, there might only be one player there. I mean, All Knights were rushing to get through Link to get onto the site because you have to play retake with Stingers. I mean, just forget about it. You wish you're on Abyss and you could just jump off the bloody map. There's no way for you to get into that round. But they don't have any sewer control. I mean, I think Sabando just sat inside that dark cover and then just popped on out. So all Knights are playing from back of site. They don't have good sort of anchor positions whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, again, because if you're going to free the Neon up, who really wants to play more aggressively on these sites, you have to use utility to make sure that they can get into that position safely. Everything else on the defensive side is going to be kind of self-sufficient in terms of relay bolting yourself back, fast laning when you can to kind of help break down a site if you can contest. But you're going to want to use this Neon as a way to contest tight spaces, earlier on in the round. But I think you're right in terms of you have to make a decision. Are you going to do that in sewers? Or are you going to do that over towards C long? Are you going to do that over towards A long? And what we're seeing at the moment in terms of tempo is that GLRS are waiting a little bit just to see if there's going to be any early aggression with things like fault lines or owl drones or fast lanes. And then they're just going to go the other direction. Just avoid the Neon completely. It's just kind of one of those keep away moments. And here we go. Same idea. You got the smoke and the recon spark to get in Neon, but the hit's already over towards C.
They went up against the barrier like a kid at the window of a candy store this time, though. Wastes no time in hitting this C site. I mean, All Knights definitely had more presence over at A, so GLRS is mixing it up here, and All Knights just have nobody in position, so they're forced to do a full retake. The upside is they're not trying to do it with Stingers at this round. They've got a bit to work with.
They do have to work against the Rolling Thunder, though, and this is a plant that you're going to want to try to fight on site if you're GLRS, and that's exactly the case. First blood comes through, you send out a reactionary. Rolling Thunder doesn't connect, to be fair. Maybe a chance to fight back, but the angles are already being locked down.
Perfect amount of buys time. It forced Nico Machine and Adverso back from the C site, and by the time they collected themselves, they had no presence through Garage. Look at the blue X's there in Garage. I mean, GLRS do not let All Knights in onto the site. They have it covered, and they're watching every point of approach. This is cheeky. Yeah, Luke Show not able to win that one out. It's a nice little from play there off the fault line.
Right there. Yep. It's just, I don't know. It's GLRS have chosen correctly, put it plainly, in terms of some of these gut check offensive calls, because that time they really don't necessarily wait to see what utility's thrown to get some sort of an idea in terms of where the Neon wants to play through, but maybe they get the call that, okay, they're smoked out at A, maybe they heard the recon dart, maybe they didn't, hard to say, but they make the hard commitment saying, let's just dive on in towards C this time. We put good pressure and good focus. The defense has to worry about at mid. We're not going to do that this time. We're just going to 5-man flood. We know we have the Rolling Thunder in case things get mixy, and that's their whole call. So we'll see. Here's the same setup for the defense. Overdrive, not fully ready yet, but Dante does get forward. But look at the respect. GLRS said, okay, we know he's there. Let's let him have it. Let's hit somewhere else.
And Aka had to respond by stacking the other side now. They're not can't really get into B. That's the problem. They're still playing off of it. So again, they're going to be in retake protocol. So at least have the Hunter's Fury here. This might be a big reason why they're happy to get some ground. Sabato eventually breaks back in, finds one with this Stinger already, and Adverso would already cleaned a player up with the Hunter's Fury. Two players pinged outside. That's Team Chop's neural theft now getting put to good use. GLRS down to just 3.
What?
Spike is loose. Are we somehow look to break in with 2? We look here. Knows the Spike is a little walk away. Nico Machine can set up a swing here for Adverso. Waiting for the sound cue potentially.
Standing ahead.
Recon's going to spot this out. They're going to go for an Adverso ping, so he knows what the play would have been, but can't do anything about it when he gets double swung.
Great idea in terms of what GLRS are doing, again, to respond to the Neon pressure, but that time it just gets a little sloppy on the initial take. Some of that, I think, just granted to the fact that All Knights made the quick rotation back. I think in particular, the defenders at C get into B with maybe a little bit more ease than you would have expected. Sabando in particular kind of goes up to that high angle. You saw him teleport late, but he was the main reason that no one got through the front door thanks to some dark covers and a paranoia that gets tossed. So again, good counter utility from All Knights. It's very difficult with full weapons to approach that B site, and you see exactly why, especially against this type of a composition. So All Knights on the board, get back into a full purchase position with that. Hunter's Fury is also key for Adverso, but those tools are no longer there. Now they got to do it the hard way, and this time it's Dante getting aggressive to C.
Evil Kickers don't know where to go. We can't move from that position, but Sato's Blade Storm yields him a kill. Dante able to dodge away from so many of those shots. Get a quiet start to the game for him. Sato's down to 3 knives and did not buy. Was able to pick up the Vandal from the Fallen Evil Kick.
Lots of time to play with here for both of these two teams. Sentry turret will make some sort of an alarm system occur over through mid. That will keep Rude pretty planted for now, just to be avidly watching this flank. Owl Drone also still at the ready. If this scouts anything, it would be massive for All Knights, and it's going to see 2. So now they know they can rotate over at least Dante with an overdrive. It just comes down to what can Adverso find to hold off this hit.
Playing for the traps right now is the plan, but they got destroyed. Adverso plays on the sound cue of them being taken down to find a freebie. Beautifully lined up. Sato knows he's above him. Still gets a little shocky down onto the jet. Taking Sato to 79. Dante Deus wants to get in here, but they're going to have to wait. Fault line. Pause for thought now for AK required. Going to stack with 3 players and go in for it here. Overdrive at the ready, but Rude's already found Adverso. Dante only able to find one, and Sato lays the smackdown, baby. Another glorious round comes up.
It's great.
After things went a little wrong, right?
Yeah.
Getting caught by Adverso.
Yeah, just a touch. I mean, that's just, again, some days you're just blessed with the smoke spam. But this is a really good 3v4 post-plant setup. I mean, it also kind of gets to a point where, yeah, the shock dart hits and Sato's low, but that may actually benefit that post-plant because Sato wants to play aggressive, be the first point of contact, but because he's tagged up, he has to kind of hold back just a touch. He gets shrugged off of where the plant initially would have been, but him in that position after the fault line, the flashes, all the initial damage gets tallied, he's on a perfect angle and just goes completely unguarded. So a pop-off moment for Sato, and that puts GLRS up to 6, and a possibility for the eco to flip again here as AK are down to some dire straits financially.
Yeah, half buy for AK here. Also sees Dante and Adverso with very little money. Sabando for the next. Not a comfortable situation by any stretch. So not only winning the round is paramount, but also trying to keep some of these weapons. These 2 Vandals, 3 rather, so crucial. They're dealing with a Hunter's Fury here for Evil Kick. Adverso peeks this. Checks it. Down to 70 here.
Yeah.
Dante can't see anything at lobby.
Yeah, this is not ideal in terms of what the defense is spending. Both health pool, utility resources, and also just an overall manpower has committed so much. Dante waiting for the flash, takes one more peek, sees no one home, and then he just bails out. They know this is going over to Tinchoff's direction. His cyber traps and his trap wires are not set up for this site, so he's in trouble here as the Hunter's Fury comes in.
No ping, though, off the recon, so this is a blind Hunter's Fury. Pretty easy for Sabando to sidestep now, deals with Lucho on the way in. Tinchoff playing the off angle, and they're anchoring it beautifully here. GLRS, without information of the recon, still commit because time is short. And now they find themselves with only Rude to play.
Yeah, really, really well done. Again, that's just a difficult spot for Tinchoff to be in, but Sabando rotates into the site after initially kind of lingering toward the back where Nico currently is. Left. The paranoia hits everybody. I mean, he's going to see the assists tallied after that paranoia lands. Makes that 2v5 way easier. And then, of course, with the overall speed that Dante has, he's able to, again, get that read off the flash towards Alon that no one's here. I got to make my way back to C. And in case things were to have gotten hairy, All Knights put themselves in a perfect defensive setup, largely thanks to what Sabando and Tinchoff were able to put together early.
For GLRS, that A hit feels pretty dangerous unless they pulled an extra player off that site. Just the early aggression here, even though for Dante Deus, it's not creating any big kill opportunities, it's definitely warding them away from that part of the map. And of course, the anchoring was beautiful. Tinchoff able to put it together with Sabando. 2 players that, especially when it comes to defensive site anchoring situations, have been, well, they've been brilliant.
Yeah, they really have to. I mean, again, oh, here we go. This is interesting. This has been the same defensive setup in terms of aggression. Fault line, dark cover, you sprint forward. This time, GLRS kind of stepped into it, and they out-trade it. Sabando does at least pull one back, and it gets us to a 3v3 with the Aftershock denying entry to A.
Good defensive util there, though. That Aftershock like you said, makes it impossible for GLRS to move in. This C site, though, is like entirely empty. And we're going to have a TP across to confirm this. And GLRS are going to get themselves a post plant in an even-handed scenario.
Yeah. Only bit of good news here is that you do have the trap still active in mid, as well as over towards the backside of the C site. So you should have some idea that the post plant's towards C long. Problem is, it looks like Rude has snuck through that position. So now it's decision time. I would say, Sabando, you probably would like to use this from the shadows just to scout out part of the backside of the site. And yeah, he will see that Sova's playing in towards C long. This will be a 3v1.
Whoa, evil check though finds 2. That's going to have to be enough. Sabando now has such limited recourse. May look to move in through garage there, but I was going to say Rude would have been aware. There's just not enough time. Not nearly enough. That is a heavy blow to suffer there for All Knights. Just looking to start to stabilize economically. Another one slips through their fingers.
Yeah, they should be fine to at least bring some significant purchase here into round number 9, though. It'll be a weird purchase, but they still will be able to provide at least some sort of a resilient arsenal. But another good moment here for GLRS. And again, I'm initially just surprised by the fact that they opt to take that battle where they know the Neons has been playing aggressive behind this dark cover and fault line combination at A main, but they counter out with a little bit of utility of their own. They get the reveal that they need, find the eliminations, put the pressure on. It's a late trade back to keep us 3v3, but the long lurk, that's the presence of having a Killjoy on offense on the map like Haven. Rude's just gonna lurk something by himself. He says C's open, come join me, and that leads to a 7th round.
The fault line over from the B side again. Sato was pinged briefly by the looks. And Verso fancies a bit of this. Aldrone to re-clear now. He's going to get a lot more than he bargained for. Hedwig shot to pieces. Very quickly, Adverso has to fold back onto the side. Again, they want to avoid having to play a post plant, but Adverso doesn't have enough teammates in his vicinity. So they will opt to give A. Even Dante Deus, someone who's more than happy to jump into the fog. Play back.
They really need this recon dart. That's what Dante's waiting for. Obviously, he's watching for the cross, but if they can get the recon in, that could be massive. First shot lands right through the corner. Brilliant first blood for All Knights, but the site is still gone. You do have a Rolling Thunder to possibly cut this site up. It should lead to some sort of a fall out of heaven as soon as it gets popped.
Fast lane's also broken up the site here for a time. Okay, don't do anything with it. In the end of this is a nasty little backstab angle from Rude.
What a shot.
Though. He's got it up in hand. Beautifully done. That one got handed over by the looks of things. And now from heaven they can try and drop down. Arango though is good for it. Sato finds Kimchov before. His aftershock least gets him something. It's Sabando. I've seen him win these. 1 versus 2. Sees Luxo gets the drop on him. Now Arango's not ready. Big hit taken. A dink and a finish off with the right click of the classic. It's Sabando once again coming alive.
Oh, where do you start with that final fight? I don't even know. Sato gets a huge first blood. It stalls out the hit just a little bit longer. It allows Nico Machine to rotate up top to heaven to initially get this Rolling Thunder across the site. But in that moment, Urango finds elimination and sends one back of his own. The only thing they miss is Sabando. Sneaks around the back, kind of through his dark cover, backside of the site. GLRS did not know he got through. I missed it if he teleported or not to get into that dark cover, but regardless, he goes completely unguarded, and that leads to a massive 1v2. A little shot to the Radiant Knight boxes, leading to the right click. Absolutely perfect and exactly what All Knights needed to stay inside this map.
To me, he's like King, you know, from Leviathan. That's the kind of player Sabano is. High impact, controller player, incredible in the clutch. What a great moment there to come back in. Dante with the off again to check those extremities. Timshoff spotted. Dante's good for it though. Sato trying to make his way in through garage, but Arango applies pressure immediately. Won't be ready for this little push up though. Sabano eats him up. A shot kill on Timshoff though, clearly. He got battered down by some util and stray shots.
No, I like this idea to wrap away and move to A. You know that you have Dante down. He's been one of your main defensive presences over towards A long. Do you really think Adverso is going to stick on this A long corner? And interesting, if they stick to going C long here, the op was down in this position, and we've seen that A Knights will pull it up and drop it onto somebody else. Tinshoff found it from Dante in the last round, but they're going to try to take their risk over towards C. They only have a smoke and a recon to work with.
It's the last player of these three I'd want to face down if I'm GLRS, though. Sabando, the Sentinel. He's a controller player. The immovable object.
30 seconds left.
We'll be waiting here, but Waiting indeed for those extra players to drift across here. A two-pronged retake attempt is what we're going to see.
Yeah.
One through garage, one through backside.
And you've got Paranoia, you've got 2 shock darts and a fault line. There are a lot of tools to break down this site. It just comes down to, does the owl drone see anything? It does not. So now you got to decide, how do we use the Paranoia? How do we use the fault line? Can we separate this site and allow an entry?
Planner for long. So we see Rude fall back to the position. Wow, Luxo didn't know what hit him. Evil Kick stunned up. There's the spray. It's all up to Rude here. Can he stick the landing? Got dinked instantly, and Sabando absolutely demolishes him. What a bounce back for All Knights now. That's 4 on the board, heading to the last round of the half.
Yeah, and Adverso hits a recon dart that sticks into Evil Kick right on top of the site. He can do nothing but just say, please shoot at me, it's not my teammates. Problem is, they also find the player trying to sneak into the dark cover on the double box inside the site. And that was, I think, the difference maker. The first point is that you don't have Evil Kick in a position to be able to take a fight. He's got to deal with the dart or hope his teammates can cover him. The Rude trying to play for the clutch up position deep was not part of the play either. So them losing the defender on top of the dark cover in the double boxes, massive towards making that retake happen. And Sabando, well, he's been unbelievable for his squad to this point. He continues to provide some electricity here in round 11. Can he do the same in 12 as Dante? Oh, just misses a freebie initially. Now the overdrive, a little bit of tags, but it just tickles at that range.
I mean, it tickles. Evil Kick's at 6 HP. That guy got absolutely fried. Started with Evil Kick so low. And All Knights absolutely want to push out for more.
Go, go, go.
A little bit unlucky there not to find a kill or more. GLRS now will be back to their old tricks of playing slow.
Luke Show gets 1 through mid, back of B. That's going to make things very difficult now for All Knights. The only bit of good news is that they've got Sabando really far forward, so they can just isolate B by playing through the links, but they need to find some sort of information before they can commit to anything. And there it is, Dante with 1. The recon also reveals Hunter's Fury to follow, and everything's landing.
Beautiful. That was a flick there from Dante. Asado took to the skies to try to put the relay bolt. They should be able to finish the job easily enough here. It's Dinchoff with the final blow, and GLRS limited to 7 attacking rounds in this half.
Yeah.
They've come alive. Yeah. All Knights are back.
Yeah. That's a really good recovery to that defensive half, especially consider that, again, the initial start of this whole half was about what can we get Dante early? The answer was nothing. GLRS just kept reading where the neon was, or at least guessed where the neon was based on utility that was thrown in the first 30 seconds, and then just went the opposite direction. That's a simplified version of what they were doing, but that was in effect what was happening. So you change up the defensive mindset a touch if you're All Knights. You don't necessarily get as aggressive with Dante, but you put him in a position to hold an op, lock down a site more as a neutral defender, and then everyone else can just use their utility to counteract whatever they see coming their way from GLRS. So small adjustment, but it works out nicely, just shifting the tempo to a more slow and kind of concise play. Works out well. So now you go to your offense. That's been another question for them. At times, their offense has been miserable, including a 2 offensive round half against TSM most recently, and that was before, or pardon me, after they had played Reda Esports, where they only won a single attacking round. So a lot of work to be done here for All Knights to get themselves back into the map.
Still very, very, very solid start. And Pistol means a heck of a lot, of course, with the game score this close. And now I get to see what it was that made All Knights so effective on that attack side against GLRS. GLRS don't really have the option to wait to give space. They have to come to the party at some point to defend these sites. Yeah, quieter first half for Dante Deus. You're right. A lot of that early action, those early pops.
Yep.
Often we saw smokes to A lobby just to make sure Dante couldn't even see in there. I think once we got him pushed up, but it ended up trading in favor of GLRS. They had the numbers there instead.
Yep. Yeah, it's just, again, the small adjustments. You know, it's not anything major macro. That's part of it just being Haven. Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of a tempo switch, but also the ability to afford the operator was a major difference maker as well, for what it's worth. You know, power weapons being a thing, that's always going to be kind of the case. So All Knights kind of taking some of the energy from the crowd that they're getting, turning it into 3 of their 5 in a row, and now a very important pistol. I mean, GLRS take this pistol. They are the best pistol team right now in the current standings of after round robin play. That would put them at a major advantage, being 9-5 up on a half that All Knights aren't particularly strong at. So it does feel more important here for All Knights to try to get this thing to 7-7 early.
Let's not forget last time these two played, it was what, 10 attacking rounds in a row for All Knights?
Yeah.
There.
That's quite a few more than they need here. Look at that seaside, completely covered with utility. GLRS very mindful of a potential flood onto C. But it's AK actually who take the pace back a little bit. A little pop mid now. With that camera paving the way inside sewer, we're headed to A.
Yeah, the dark cover to play defense at B with a little peek from Rude. Like you said, the sentry turret, double nanos, alarm bot, all defending C. Allows the stack to happen. Opening shot lands for Evil Kick. Bit of a headshot, shock dart to follow, and then it's just Urango on the low ground. High-low setup completely decimates this approach for All Knights.
Now, that's what Killjoy offers you. So much util at C, they can then go and stack the A side instead. Shabana very low here, just has to step up, face the music. Sato, who's with Shendo. Tinchop with 3 though. An opportunity now opens up. It's only Rude left yet again. Tinchop is low, as is Nico. But if they play together here, it's going to be a big ask for Rude.
Yeah.
Reaping up on the site now. Both All Knights players set up in hell. Rude is going to have some pretty clean shots here. Sees Nico first. Formation the one player. Can surmise that they're playing together. Nice little strafes here, but the fault line's a problem, and here they come! It's 1! It's 2! Rude does not care for your tectonic activity! He brings the house down himself!
Talk about the patience from Rude on the second, by the way. I mean, like you said, he has got... I mean, just everything completely against him. That is a monster fault line. And then just to sit here and say, let me line you up with a little wiggles, a little shimmy, shimmy, yay, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yam, coming out of Tinchop doesn't work out. And yeah, let him know about it. A massive Zippo 1v2 clutch.
Was Tinchop out of ammunition?
I don't know what that was.
He just strafe danced. I don't know what to make of that at all. I mean, it's possible. Found 3 kills in that round. We may never know. Ooh, Shock Dart doesn't quite catch that alarm bot. A small thing, but maybe relevant later.
Oh, and to make matters worse, Sato's gonna line him up through sewers. It's a gut check call here with just classics again. Flashes out, stepping into the cloud burst. Evil Kick gets one of his own, and Sato's not done. Give him 4. Send it to the next round.
Ah, that's right. The Outlaw, exactly as Leo Farrier intended when he allowed it into competitive play. Beautifully done for Sato. And AK, I think after those first couple of kills, knew that they best get this round done. Unfortunately, no parts of the map to just leap off on Haven, so you need to feed yourself into the wood chipper. That's tough. It's a big momentum breaker for All Knights, who really bounced back at the end of that first half. However, that first gun round here of their attack side is on the horizon.
Okay, have to have this. I mean, All Knights drop this round. We could be looking at a very quick exit from Haven. Sato missing, but doesn't take any damage. And look at the deep position here for GLRS to get up towards A long. It's just down to what can they find defensively to hold off this hit towards C. And the answer is not much. Dante's good for first.
Yeah, he doubles back even to take the player inside Garage, lest he pick off any of the other AK players flooding into the C side. So we're on full retake here. Luxo and Urango are flush with util, with the exception of that fault line, which should be back soonish. No one in that corner. That one is too easily cleared by the aftershock. And there's everybody lined up C long for this retake.
Gotta hope and pray that you can find some sort of connection over the top. Paranoia also comes through, but no pixels for Sato to look at. And yeah, there's so much post-plant utility. Urango's gonna get this to half, though. Hold on a second. He may be able to hold this.
He's thinking it. Oh, stop just short. Only 2 players left for it. It got to half, and that is going to be it. Nothing like a little post-plant spray down. All Knights get a hard-fought round.
I mean, that got a little too close for comfort, and that was one of those get down, Mr. President situations. We'll play bodyguard, a little cannon fodder, just to make sure we can body block out as much damage as possible, and it almost works. But again, the quick decision, and I think more importantly, the quick eliminations to get on towards C after aggression was shown by the defense on the A side of the map just leads to too many numbers to deal with in the retake. Although, again, it just got a little too close, you would think, for comfort. But a lot of players survived, so not a lot of repurchasing coming through. But now we have our first full purchase for GLRS. It's going to include an operator for Sato. He's got that sewers.
Yeah, Tinchop knows. No interest to taking the fight, but if he can contain GLRS there, if he can keep them interested, that is going to be huge for All Knights on other parts of the map. Aldron's going to clear this now.
Mm.
Sato is about to get a little busy.
I'll say. Aldrone, we'll see him. Deletes it immediately, but has to back out of the play. Behind him is Evil Kick with no reveal utility. It's just shock dart. So this is going to be a very passive setup around A. And that's
actually nothing to force him off an angle at A long if he chooses to post it. So
but they need to get it back, though.
Tinchoff is here.
Yeah.
Tinchoff is tucked here, so this recon doesn't see him. He can be activated later in the round to push into that site, but looks like we're going to be hitting C hard instead. Dante Dares takes the fast lane. Doesn't see the player. That Luke Cho just sat there waiting for him. He'll take 2. Adverso and Nika Machine getting their hands dirty, though, and that's 2 for the aforementioned. Now we're even in numbers. Player from Garage, one from backside seems to be the play. It's Sato still with an operator in hand, and Tinchoff is quickly trying to get back to the scene because there still needs to be a plan had.
Spike planted.
Nico gets it down.
I know exactly where you are.
There's Nico Machine in trouble, but is ready for it. The ping. Evil Kick tried to push up ahead of it, so we wouldn't be lit in advance. Oh, Sato, there's something here. The knives. You got to believe in a bit of magic, and you know we can make it happen. But Nico Machine brings him down.
I'm not gonna lie, if Sato just backs up a little bit, waits for that knife animation, he may have it. I thought he had it with the collapse. I mean, I think my heart skipped a beat right there. I was like, oh no! They lined up right on top of him, but just gets caught pulling the knives out. And initially, I was about to say, this is actually a really good rotation coming out of GLRS in the first place. You talked about that play through A long. Recon Dart gets earned. That gets Sato back into position with the op, and that means that the breach can rotate over to C. And initially, the initial flash plus the fault line was enough for Luke Show to stay tucked in the corner and find a couple. And you think, whoa, hold on a second. That little play to guarantee the A defense means that this breach is now part of the defense at C from midway across the map. And with the help by the Luke Show, it looked like the defense was about to hold. There's just too many numbers, and I think a couple of nice quick trades that come through to eventually allow the plant to happen. And then, of course, Tinchoff, the knife out, just getting the steps in, rotating all the way back from that cubby at A long, helps out just the nick of time with the neural theft.
The only LATAM team remaining here at Ascension in Mexico. Getting a much-needed boost from the fans after a hard-fought round. And another close one here. GLRS, of course, looking to cause problems with a strong pistol out of that half-time, but hard-fought rounds for all nights. Left and right. We have attack pause now coming up for GLRS because, yeah, obviously something has to change. I mean, they start that round well. Luke Show's able to get the drop on Dante Dares. Doesn't check that close corner as he rushes in onto that C site. But Adverso is a force to be reckoned with and very frightening when we are in the trenches fighting it out.
Yeah, big time. And this should be 8 on the table here for all nights. You got 4 sheriffs and a classic, so huge advantage. Rolling Thunder at the ready. Hunter's Fury close by, and GLRS is going to try something crazy. Little walk down mid. They've done this before. But this time, all nights are very prepared for it, not going to allow themselves to get surprised.
Tinchoff might have thought of coming forward there, but the fault line makes him reconsider, and instead it's a Cyper Cage and fall off. They play it in the side. Luke Show is here, ready to throw it down. Evil Kick got blasted. Whoa. Relay vault. Okay. Luke Show going to try and hold it down with the pistol. GLRS down by 1 player here, but still dangerous as ever. Now, though, they're facing entrenched positions. I like the dash into the cloudburst there from Sato, and it allows him to get 1 at least. But all nights will not be stopped, and you're right, that's their 8th round on the board.
A bit expensive, but they'll be fine for repurchases, especially with the plan on the backside of it. So all nights cooking it up again. Like we said, it was 10 offensive rounds in a row when they had played this team last time around, and it looks like the success stories from week 2, or game 2 rather, I should say, in their round robin are still showing up here about a week later. So again, it just feels like GLRS defensively, they're trying to get this operator into position, and there's been a lot of the same kind of forward focus that All Nights were showing on defense, but this time, of course, to get the Jet involved, that doesn't necessarily work out for the early first blood. They're just trying to hope they can get him into position. Now look, you're going to have a quick rotation for Evil Kick, essentially saying, Sato, you got to do you.
Bit of free damage from Rude there. It was a nice little recon lineup, but the dark cover actually negates it, so Rude just plays from within that. And takes Dante Dares down to 56.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, if he sneaks past this Aldrone, that would be huge. But angle, again, gets revealed. Now, Evil Kick does have a Hunter's Fury and an Aldrone he could play from this position outside of A-Link. But Instead, again, wanting to get Sato deep on towards A long. They're going to push forward, try to get this cleared again. From the shadow spent towards A main, nothing there. Fast lane, Rolling Thunder all towards C. Defense is in trouble.
I don't think Rudy saw the top of Tinchoff's head as he made his way up from Garage, but it'll catch him on the way there anyway. Here's the Hunter's Fury. Softens up the fight a little bit, and Dante also gets on tenderizing duty. Sato again has been forced off every angle this round, and the last few as well. It's really hard to get this operator into the game. Notoriously difficult on this map against a coordinated team, in fairness. Here's the defensive Hunter's Fury.
Really
this stops
good.
The plan entirely. 20 seconds left of the round. This lets Sato repost up back of side as well.
And they get the Sabando reveal too before he teleports. They know he's in this back corner. Just comes down to isolating it as the spike gets blind and resets the clock.
Rude gets him. Here it comes the overdrive from Dante. They're really favored at these ranges. Sato able to get there, but Dante finds 3. Starts that fight at 56 points of health. Nicely done. That is tooth and nail fighting in and around the C site. All Knights now even the game.
And a great decision for the overdrive on this corner. The initial take is pretty darn clean. The Hunter's Fury, like mentioned, reveals Sabando in the corner, so you know your homie's in trouble, and that's enough for the overdrive to come through as soon as the contest is out. Yeah, a couple of spam shots are allowed to happen, but as soon as they commit to the site, the overdrive's right there, and that thing just melts, especially being that close up. So Dante puts the round out of question. Tied at 9. GLRS back over to a half 5.
Once again, the fault line will deny that angle. Not that Sato has the weapon to make use of it anyway. Restacked at A and all that. KJ util is at Garage for the time being. Rude does not want to give that part of the map up. He is open. Do we get like a crossfire stack set up in sewers here, or do Glories overheat and overextend?
Oh, there's a fault line set up. If they want to choose to peek this, just comes down to do they hear anything to call for this, because the whole A site will be left open in favor of playing this through sewers. But they're not going to get the contact that they want. Tinchoff making some noise towards B is going to pull everyone out. And hold on a second, the timing here could be brilliant if Sato decides to go.
Nico was watching it, but he needs to use his util on this A side hit. It might be too late for Sato, and he might be caught by Tinchoff, but he's hurt him. Tinchoff low, pushes up to take the fight. The spray is wild from the Vandal, but Tinchoff brings him down. He will kick, no chance to move up, take a gun. Adverso was going to be there to defend it anyway.
Spike planted.
Dante gets across the site, into hell. Adverso watching Rude come through on that late flank, and all the I's have been dotted, all the T's have been crossed here for All Knights, as they're poised to get into the lead.
Nice. Yeah. Tinchoff has been so good in his individual gameplay. And we talked about him a number of times in the defense. He got more than I think you would have bargained for a number of different times when they're on the defense. But here, this little lurking 1v1, if he loses that, that entire site setup starts to get crippled. Sure, it is still mostly just pistol upgrades with the Sheriff, but you add a Vandal or two into the mix with a flank wide open. All the utility that would have been available for GLRS could have really made that possible, but a key 1v1 win denies that, even gets a read on the second, so the isolation towards Evil Kick is beautiful, and then All Knights can just focus on playing their post plant from the front. Really good stuff out of Tinchoff. Good follow-up from Adverso, and then from there on out, like mentioned, it's just everything is right in front of you. So really good idea in terms of how All Knights have taken a bit of a pause, put themselves in a position to keep everything in front of them. Like, legitimately, the whole game has been controlled over the last 8 rounds off of what they want, both defensively and now as they swap the sides to their attack.
The one team you don't want to give momentum to is All Knights. The one team here at Ascension. That'll be very dangerous. Glories call a tactical pause here because something has to change.
Yep.
They've now lost the lead for the first time this entire map. Such a dominant first half, but bit by bit, All Knights have eked these rounds back. And now they're feeling good. That's dangerous. You don't want to see a smile on their faces at all.
Yeah, this is critical in terms of what do you want to do identity-wise? Because a lot of this has been early abilities focused on getting Sato on an angle. It hasn't really made much of a difference, though.
TSM had the same problem.
Yeah.
They're overinvested in getting Sim on a good angle on this map so many times, and it's so easy to force you off them.
Yeah. And as soon as they force them off, they say, we know they're going to fight back for it again. They're not just going to give it up, so we can just take our efforts elsewhere. So I like this idea for GLRS. You're going to put Sato in a position he can get himself into and get out of, and then you can stack the other side of the map. So it works out. Again, it's still a lot of trust that Sato will hit. But once more, it's just the battle between Sato and the Sova. Adverso once again pushes him off, and what does that do? It calls Evil Kick into sight to spend more utility, and now All Knights are saying this is our time to go.
Here's the Z hit. Rolling Thunder going to be coming into the site pretty quickly here, but All Nights are already there. Luke Shaw in that same ratty little spot. They got him a couple of kills earlier, and he's still standing somehow. Tinchop swings out to the open and is brought to heel, but Adverso is there with 2. Luke Shaw being the first. And Sato once more. The operator gets absolutely zero action. None. Nada. Zilch. He's forced to run away with it. And the tail between his legs.
Adverso is all over the flipping map right now. He not only gets Sato off the angle, he pulls Evil Kick back to support Sato, and then he's got the ability to drop in utility to help the hit towards C. They are playing a 5v3. Because they keep Sato out of the picture, Evil has to keep helping him get back into position, and at a certain point, you got to be thinking, the operators is not worth it. We're not getting anything off these early engagements. We're trying to play these early angles, and they're just not at all finding any value. I don't even know if he's really pulled the trigger on any of these 1v1s, and he may not even have a chance to in the next round.
Sabando has the bullets for this, and he definitely has the gumption, folks. 4 line hits. I think Sato's in deep trouble. Jumps out, goes low, stuck in hell, and there he will remain.
Ready to stretch your wings.
And now it's 12. I mean, you're on force buy situation, it feels like, with the current economy for GLRS. This has been a clinical offensive half for All Nights. What a turnaround after what was a first half that initially started, if you want to call it the first quarter, it was all GLRS. They were playing perfect Valorant. One timeout, All Nights changed their tempo. They stopped relying on the Neon to get first bloods. They stringed together 3 in a row at the end of the first half. And then since that point, it was just the pistol loss and one other. Otherwise, it's been offensive perfection.
That operator Sato is now gone. Not the GLRS really making much. It just felt more like a liability than anything else.
I'll say.
KJ Util stacked over at A this particular round. We've got Sato playing on a bit of an off angle here inside Garage. This one is a little nasty. AK have not committed yet.
Yeah, just shoulders for Evil. He'll back up to safety. I think probably after he sees his Aldrone. Yeah, he'll try to deal with it. Overstaying is welcome. Wow, that was an opportunity for Tinchop, who has been supremely accurate. But this is all just a bit of a fake. Paranoia out for Luke Show. He realizes that he is the only one trusted to hold on to see if this ends up flipping back his direction.
It's been a hard job. He's had to do it a couple times, take first contact. But how many more times can he play back in that same corner? It's usually been good for 1 or 2 there at least.
Yeah,
he got more than he bargained for there. Dante Deus riddles him with bullets even behind that container, and that side is locked down, folks. That's a one-way into the back of sight, just to give GLRS the glimmer of hope that they could make something happen. Oh, buddy, this is brutal.
I don't know if I've ever watched a game of Haven be dominated by one Aldrone more in my life. Adverso is legitimately flipping out GLRS' entire defense with one Aldrone. Does it again there. Evil gets the read. Oh, there's people here. They even forced the dark cover from across the map to come back the direction. They're so convinced it's an A hit. It's not. It's unbelievable how much presence Adverso has been able to manipulate.
They got all the util in the world.
There.
Fairness, much of that's been used, but they have a Hunter's Fury, for God's sake. I mean, Doris said, you know what? We're going to die with these guns in our hands. We know what it's like. Let's see what we can get all the way out. And we'll keep the Vandal over the A side to bring into the next. Map point coming up for All Nights. What a massive recovery here on Haven.
Oh,
yeah, okay. Nico, you need a new move, brother. I like the mogging pose. I do. But you've been doing this since qualifiers, man.
In my book, he can do what he wants. Team's frying right now. Team's cooking. But I am mind blown that GLRS are still being baited around by Adverso. He's legitimately doing himself. Plus a couple of heroic moments for Tinchop and Sabando, sure, but this has been a complete team effort, largely just team manipulation-wise. Knives are out, and how about this? A moment of aggression for GLRS. Sato trying to do it himself.
Yep, he's kind of amongst the pigeons here. Sato in a position to do so much, but Adverso again, basically just taking the role of shutting down the opponent's star player every single round here on Haven. This way, it's in a bit of a more circumspect manner, but the result is the same. Sato lies, beaten, battered on the ground.
I respect the idea from GLRS for what it's worth. You're swinging for the fences at 9-12, trying to do something wild. I mean, that is the definition of a curveball. But now things become, again, very, very difficult to manage. You've got the lockdown, so you really don't want to stay super on site, you would think, but Rude's tucked in a corner. They're looking to overwhelm and just guess correctly on where All Knights want to go. They're going to get their intentions as the Aldrin comes out late. Evil kick deals with the first smoke down. Not going to avoid too much, but how about this? All Knights now know that both players are here, and they're just going to completely flip the script from the shadows. Perfect play.
Yeah, really nicely done there. Savannah with only one smoke. It's pretty scary to hit A like that. You basically, by default, have to smoke heaven. And there was a player sat, towards sewer. One on the side. Now, Savato's still deliberating on where he wants to set up. There was the timing before it activates, and Mr. Turrety Boy never actually comes alive. And the Verso and Team Choff, they spot him out. Hunter will chase him across the map, and he knows his goose is utterly cooked. 36 points of health and a dream to keep GLRS in the map. Evil kick pulls up short, and All Knights complete a disgusting comeback.
Unbelievable. I mean, that's legitimately all of their rounds in a row outside of the pistol. 9 out of 11. I cannot believe that Adverso had that much of an effect on the GLRS defense. It felt like their game plan from page one was Sato get in position, Sato kill. And every time he got pushed off by an owl drone or something of the nature, he had to get help to get back into position, and that left them shorthanded. It felt almost too easy for All Knights, especially considering that was their whole strategy when they played the first time. Avoid Sato, heavy hit stuff with speed with the Neon, profit.
We got another map, of course, on the horizon here. Bind is an interesting one because All Knights have a couple switch ups there because Dante does not play Raze as far as our understanding is. So stick around for that one. But first, we're going to have the desk breakdown. What was an incredible run back here. Just stunning stuff from All Knights. What we've come to expect from them. It's a LATAM number 2 taking Brazil's number 1 to task.